LSU. Okay. I could talk for 20 minutes on this.
Decided to go play out west for the non-conference schedule. I see.
Well, at least they're hosting UCLA.
Oh, that's true.
I'll say this about LSU. I think that this is one of the higher variables in records for me. I think LSU's ceiling is 10-2. That's what I'm going with. I think they can get to double-digit wins in the regular season. The defense is not improved from a personnel standpoint from what I've been able to see. The coaching staff has. Can that elevate the gap that is there for LSU? We'll see. Garrett, I don't know what we're doing with that comment. Garrett Nussmeier is the quarterback. There's a lot to be excited about what he is, but what does he look like over the course of 12 games? That's another storyline. It's probably the best offensive line of the country. You're going to have 2 first-rounders, a guy that's going to be a top-5 pick in Will Campbell at left tackle. All of that to say is 10-2 is where I sit with this. I thought about going 11-1, but I just cannot, with that defense, confidently say here in the month of May that they can go 11-1. 10-2, they could get them to the playoff. I'm going 10-2 though, guys.
I'm going to say 9-3 because of that defense. The offense, you've got to expect to take a step back. You're losing the Heisman Trophy winner.
You lost 3 first rounders.
Yeah, and 2 of the best wide receivers in the country. So you definitely think they're going to take a step back. There's at least 1 game, maybe 3 games probably on that schedule. They're just going to be track meets. USC, it's going to be a track meet. They're just going to run up another field. Ole Miss, back and forth. Oklahoma could very well be that way too. And I've got to see LSU before I think that they even beat a USC. Can they score with USC? Even with USC losing the number 1 pick in the draft, Caleb Williams, they're going to score points.
In that bowl game, that quarterback looked great.
They're going to score points. Can LSU score with them? That's my question. And I do like Nussmeier. I think he's a good quarterback, but he's not Jaden Daniels, and that's no slight to him.
I wanted to read this real quick because I thought this was super interesting. Ralph, you go ahead and go with what you're saying, then I'll give this little stat that I found about LSU.
I'm going to go with Will. I kind of agree with what he just said there. Honestly, that defense is just so questionable. And you said a minute ago that the staff has gotten better, but that only goes so far. It truly does. I mean, you can have the best defensive staff in the country, but if you don't have the right players for it, when you don't have the right players to fit the scheme, work with that staff, you can assume it's not going to work out well.
They don't even have players.
It's just frustration for the coaching staff then because they're not executing properly because they don't have the guys who can do it. So that's the big question mark. And obviously that was a question mark last year, and they still won 10 games.
Yeah, 9-3 in the regular season, won a bowl game.
Yeah. I mean it's the last 2 years this question mark has been the defense, and the offense has carried them. So can Nussmeier bring that offense back to what it was the last 2 years? Who knows? We'll find out.
So I got this. This is interesting right here. Was just kind of looking at some stuff for what I do and everything. I think that there's a lot of hype. Like The Athletic predicted them to go 12-0, which I would love to know what those people are smoking. Because when you really break this down, you lose 4 starters from an all-time terrible defense. This defense was ranked 116th in overall defense. That's awful. Like they were more than a liability. They needed 30-plus points to win 5 of their 10 games. 4 of those 5 wins were against Grambling, Georgia State, Army, and Mississippi State. Now, it is not denying what Jaden Daniels did. Jaden Daniels, far and away, was the Heisman Trophy winner, in my opinion. I know I got to watch him each Saturday up close and personal, but that guy was unbelievable. This shows you what they're missing. A lot of people are not talking about this. I think the receiver room for LSU is going to be okay. Here's my concern. It's the run game. Their run game, when you really start to break down what this group has done, Jaden Daniels averaged over 8 yards a carry running the football. His statistical numbers, what he did running, have only been matched by one other running back in the SEC in the last decade and a half. It was Darius Geis, which is kind of a crazy thing that a quarterback was able to match those numbers of what he was able to do from an explosive rate, kind of point of view. So that brings you have a lot to replace. I think 10-2 is the ceiling. If they don't have that group last year, guys, they're a 6-6, 5-7 team. I'm going to go worst case scenario for LSU. I'm going 7-5. Just 6-6, 7-5. Like I think that's the floor for them. I think that you could see maybe this offense isn't the number one offense in the country. I agree with Will. I think it takes a step back no matter what. But what if Nussmeier? We think he is, but what if he's not? What if he's not the guy to lead this group? Well, behind him you got AJ Swan. Behind him you got Ricky Collins, a redshirt freshman. And then you have a true freshman,
That's
Colin Hurley.
Vanderbilt legend AJ Swan to you.
Yeah, Georgia Tech whiffed on that kid. But all things considered, I'm going 7-5 with that. It concerns me, guys. They're legitimately playing a walk on, and they're too deep at defensive line, and all due respect, the young man went on social media and defended his ability. I don't know if you guys saw the tweet. And I'll talk about this on here because I'm not going to talk about it on our official LSU show, but they had a walk-on player defend against the social media backlash about their, bashing the defensive line. And I put on our message board, I said, buddy, nobody's bashing this. Your head coach stood at a podium at a public press conference and said, it's not good enough. That's not me in a public forum saying, it's your head coach. They know it's not good enough. Is the coaching, I think they arguably have one of the best defensive line coaches in the country in Bo Davis. Can they make up the gap? I know it went long there, but that's just kind of my feeling on it. Will, Ralph, you guys give your floors real quick.
5-7.
It could be bad. They
might not be able to stop anybody.
You would think logically they could, but I agree.
I'm gonna go 6-6. I still think the offense can just. I mean, I think they beat USC. I think they start off at least 4-0. I think they beat UCLA. And then you have South Alabama, Vanderbilt. That's in Arkansas. You can win 7 games, I think.
One would hope.
Tell you what, they might get that interim coach. Might see that interim coach bump from Florida at the end of the year in Gainesville. And Arkansas, because Arkansas will be coming off a bye. That's very real possibility.
Yeah, it's just I think it's a boom or bust season, year 3. Brian Kelly historically has been very good in his third year at each program, each stop that he's been. So I don't think this is the year for that, but we'll see.